What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are going over Solana as its price is starting to inch close to some of these key support levels, and we're going to be taking a look at what I'm expecting to happen, how I think this whole thing can and cannot play out, and I'm going to give you guys everything on the realm of possibilities. You guys do know, on this channel, my goal is to not predict the future. We can never do that, of course, but I will give you every single thing that I think is within the realm of possibilities and tell you what I think is likely or not likely. And so with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and let's get into it. So of course, what we know about Solana is that we've been tracking this big resistance and support channel since August of 2020, putting in these highs, putting in these lows. And after Solana worked its way up to the top side here, we did know, back in September, we talked about the fact that even if it does continue up, or even if it consolidates, there is a chance that we come back to touch the bottom side of this channel. Now, some people didn't like it when we were saying that, because at the time, the channel was down, towards $68. And I wasn't saying that it had to crash straight down, because that's not what it usually does. But what I said is that we need to be on the lookout to see we may end up touching the bottom side of this channel at some point, which could look like an extensive layer of consolidation. Now, we had some great runs that I thought could send us back to the top side, but overwhelmingly, we ended up being pushed back to the downside. So what this means is that immediately, of course, when we do see these negative 7% days, and when we start to see the prices falling and all of this red, it's really easy to freak out. But it kind of soothes my nerves personally whenever I look to see that we have come back down to these levels multiple times before working our way back to eventually setting new all-time highs, okay? And so what we're taking a look at now is how do we interact with this bottom level? Because of course, now that we have seen the breakout and the fake out to the upside of this descending wedge, there is a possibility that we see the breakout to the downside of this descending wedge, which could immediately lead to the loss of, again, our key level of support and resistance from over the last year, okay? So what that means for us is that we are in a possible position now that we have failed to hold outside of this descending wedge that pushes us down possibly outside of our support and resistance channel, which kind of just changes the scape and the landscape of what we have been tracking over the last year or so. And so what that means for us is that we need to be paying the closest amount of attention at the moment to these two key levels. We have support level number 1, which is the support level provided by this descending wedge that is started back on November 7th. And then we of course have this key level of support, this ascending level of support that we've touched. I'm going to tell you guys the exact date so you can track it yourself. On July 21st, 2021 and December 21st of 2020. Draw a line from those 2 points and you will get this key ascending level of support on a logarithmic scale on your charts. That's incredibly important. And so what I would be looking at is that over the next few days, do we hold this level? If we start to hold this level, what's going to be extremely important is that we get a double breakout to the top side. What that means is that we see this descending level of resistance, that we work our way back up, and boom, we break out of it and we hold above it. You can see that when we came to back test it this time, we failed to hold support and we re-entered to our descending wedge. What I'm looking to see happen is that we break out and we hold above this level. I do believe, genuinely, just going to keep it honest with you guys, that this is going to be the harder of the two. I would say that this is going to be a little bit harder for in the next, maybe 3 or 4 days to see a huge move to the upside, looking like something like, possibly, up to 25+%, and us just hold on top of that, okay? It is going to be harder, but it is possible, and that's all I'm here to give you guys, the realm of possibilities. So what we need to do in terms of if this is going to go up is get to, I would say, $214. If we can get to $214, I think it would be safe to say that we are probably going to be working our way back up, and we've probably established some level of support on top of these two key support levels. So keep an eye out for 214. Until we were to get above 214, I realistically wouldn't be doing much, okay? But I do believe that this can happen, because if we look at something like our Elliott's wave theory, okay, just to kind of look at this from more of a what exactly is happening right now perspective. What we saw, of course, in the past was that we had this beautiful A, B, C, D, E correction. I mean, absolutely textbook. Coming off of an ABCDE correction, there is an argument always to be made that we're going to see the 1, 2, our 3, our 4, and a major high 5 in which we put in the new high. And that's exactly what we did. It was looking kind of bad a few times, but we kept setting these new highs in this wave, and boom, we put in wave 5 up here before eventually setting some lower lows, okay? And so what we can see happening is that we very well, now that we've set the 5, could be looking at another ABCDE, right? In which we're seeing something along this nature. Let's go in. Boom, and let's kind of just draw this thing out, right? In which we see something like an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E, okay? So this is within the realm of possibilities. What that means for us is that if we are able to hold some support on top of these key levels right now, if we're able to hold here, we definitely could be looking at that E correction that leads to our what? Again, our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in which we start to work our way back up to the top side, maybe even extend it here, okay? So it's possible. Now, what's also very possible is that we lose support, okay? We need to consider that as within the realm of possibilities. And if we are to go down and lose both of these levels of support right here, this ascending level of support and our descending level of support, do expect that we'll likely come back down to probably somewhere around $159 to $160, okay? Expect that fall. That could be somewhere of a fall of, looking at something like another 10 to 11%. I'm under the belief that that would happen simply due to the fact that we have our VPVR resistance and support there. Looking at this thing on this perspective, you can see that if we start to climb this hill, this is where our peak is. We have a tendency to work our way to the top of the hill if we work our way out of the valley, okay? And so looking at our VPVR peak being in this area, as well as the fact that we had our previous levels of resistance here for this cup and handle pattern, we saw this little area of resistance, I think that's where we would come back down to, okay? So if we started to see the fall happening, do be on the lookout for the price to start to work its way back down to somewhere around $159 to $160, which at that point I think we would start to find our first major level of support, which definitely could be the spark that we need to continue upwards. As long as we set a higher low, my apologies, above $116, I'm really not all too concerned, because we have this high, we have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low, we have another high, and as long as we can set on this more macro scale another higher low somewhere above 116, I do think that we can be set and can be looking good to still continue our move to the upside. So overall, what I'm saying is right now isn't the time to be doing anything. Right now is the time to sit back, kick back, stop staring at the charts all day, set some alerts, and see how we interact with these two levels of support and this level of resistance. Whichever one we break first is going to tell us exactly where we're going over the short and the midterm, and then that is where we start to make some moves. So that's exactly how I'm going to play this thing. So once we start to get a break, once we start to get some moves, I will keep you guys updated as soon as I possibly can. Of course, don't miss that video by subscribing to the channel and turning on all notifications. But with that being said, of course, I will talk to you all very, very soon in the next update. Peace.